Greetings, sleepers. Esper here. Well, that was an eventful week of schematic farming in the deep desert, and I'm really liking the new loot system. Even with the long 6-hour timer, I still came out of the deep desert this week with a ton of schematics. I hope that the common drops in the deep desert do still rotate each week, just so we get more variety in the chome market, as nothing new really popped up in the Landsrad this week either.
Welcome.
First, let's go over some new additions that we got on the playtest client today. We can now access our vehicle inventory from the bank, which was a much needed and requested feature. So that's one that's coming in the next patch, and I'll keep you updated as more things get added. In the deep desert this week, I didn't manage to pull a single Imperial stillsuit piece or the Chief's stillsuit. I only pulled Valaris's stillsuit and the Shaddam's bladder. If any of you managed to pull any of those Imperial pieces or the Chiefs, let me know in the comments below. When we went through the data mine stuff, it said that they could drop, but this might be on some sort of a rotation that we don't quite know of yet. Now, one of the nicest things I was pulling out of there was the MK6 buggy laser. I think I got about 6 of them this week, so that was pretty huge. I managed to pull 2 of the Sardaukar disruptors and a spiked hilt blade, which we'll be going over in this video, as well as the unique MK6 Treadwheel pieces which we got. In the crash ships in Shoal, I pulled the Treadwheel engine and the Dune Dancer stillsuit, but I'm still searching for that MK5 booster and the biteback blade. In the aluminum ships, I found a Sand Strider stillsuit, but that Shadow Hood is still evading me. And honestly, I'm having a hard time finding any crash ships in the Vermilius Gap area to get my hands on the steel level stillsuit. This is probably the one that's going to end up being my final schematic to get. If you know of a good place where crash ships are dropping in Vermilius Gap, let me know. The spiked hilt blade is no joke. I did some testing just to see how much the bleed is, and it's significantly strong. You can outright kill NPCs just with the bleed from the parries, and it's enough to make someone seriously panic in PvP. Now, with our testing, we found that it doesn't apply on every parry. It will apply the bleed on your first parry against that opponent, and then they'll get a debuff on the next parry, giving them a cooldown. If they get parried again, then it will apply the bleed. Being under the influence of Spice Melange does make the bleed do a little bit more damage. When we tested this against the full bleed resist from the Swordmaster tree, we found that it negated any real threat from the bleed of the sword. It would still get applied just as much, you just wouldn't do as much damage. Even when spiced up, it just wasn't enough to change the outcome of a PvP fight. They also nerfed Crippling Strike and Suspensor Blast this patch. Now, good, these were basic meta skills that were really overpowered and everyone needed to be using them. I don't really like it when you're forced to use skills, so I'm glad that these got a nerf, even though I was using a lot of these skills. Plus, they stack stamina debuffs. So if you use one right after another, and then you tried to dodge after being hit by both of them, it would just totally evaporate your entire stamina bar. So it needed to be fixed, but just so you know, have a heads up that your Crippling Strike probably isn't going to be as good as it was before. I still really like Suspensor Blast and use it. I feel like it's just as good, but the Crippling Strike just doesn't quite feel the same without the crawl on it. Now, the Treadwheel is a little speed demon. Now, it accelerates into the 90s in no time at all. With these new tier 6 uniques, it really just gives it a get up and go feeling. I got over the 140 plus mark with it, but the Treadwheel's new schematics really just add a faster acceleration and then a lower temperature build-up time on your booster, letting you to build that boost longer to try and go for that longer, higher distance speed, but you're really not feeling a whole lot of change here. Now, against the M6 sand bike, I have to say, like, the acceleration is not there, but that top speed just kills it, and I'm gonna have to say that it'll probably outperform the Treadwheel in anything that requires some sort of long distance. Now, I'd still use the Treadwheel in any combat scenario. It's just so much more fun to drive, plus that acceleration and having somebody being able to shoot off the back just makes it more fun and better in those situations. But that's it for this one, sleeper. Till next time, fly low and fly fast. Esper out.